Hey guys, welcome to Close Look. Kevin Atwell here with you. I'm sitting next to Constable Kal. I'm looking forward to chatting with him and hearing his story and how he became to be the police officer he is today. So let's take a close look. Kal, how are you today?
Kevin, I'm doing excellent, and thank you very much for taking this opportunity coming down and speaking with me today.
Oh, I'm super excited, and I just can't wait for the viewers to hear this. So tell us, how old you are, where you went to school, where you grew up, and what you studied and stuff.
Yeah, so essentially what it is as a kid, I was always fond of the police. And the reason why is because, as a child, you're growing up and you almost see them as the virtual equivalent of superheroes in your community. They're there to make a difference, but you hear about them saving lives and running into houses on fire and just doing absolutely tremendous things which were superhuman of sorts. So I had the utmost respect for them, and that respect was ingrained in me from a very early age on account of my parents as well, who were always respectful of individuals that were serving our community. If you think about it, it's almost a legacy of our gurus, where the gurus were strong proponents and promoted serving others. And so just based on my family being very traditional, very religious, I ingrained a lot of the value system and the principles that were taught by Guru Gobind Singh, and so I grew up with that. So growing up, a lot of the courses that I took even in high school focused on law and having to do with that. And so eventually, when the time came and I graduated from high school, I went to Simon Fraser University and entered the criminology program. And in the course of the criminology program, my goal, to be honest with you, was to go to law school. So everything that I was doing at that time was primarily focused and targeted towards entering law school. And so I believe it was in my third year of university that I got introduced to a program with the RCMP known as the Summer Student Constable Program. And what that essentially entailed is that you enter in the program, they provide you tactical training, they provide you with legal knowledge, they give you a uniform, they give you a flashlight, and then that was it. So they put us on the streets with other officers, and we were essentially mentored through the course of the summer. And so I was deployed and posted in Surrey. And so I ended up working the entire city of Surrey from one area to another. So, for example, I started off in South Surrey, moved to Guildford, did Newton, Fleetwood. So worked all the various areas in Surrey. And so I had a chance to experience the different aspects of how policing worked, how law worked, and what police officers face on an everyday basis in terms of challenges. And so after having experienced that high octane adrenaline drive for the course of the summer, I just realized this is my calling. This is what I want to do. So it's just, it's almost like that, it's that revelation, that epiphany, where you realize this is what I was meant to do. You develop strong resolve and conviction and focus all your energies to want to do that. And so as soon as I got back to university, I completed my double major in criminology and psych, applied to the Vancouver Police Department, and here I am almost 15 years later.
So has your family and have your friends been quite supportive of your endeavors of becoming a cop back in the day?
Absolutely. I'll be honest with you. I don't think any Indo-Canadian mother wants their firstborn to enter into the police department, and it's not only on account of the fact. She's obviously worried about my safety. Even today, after 15 years, some night shifts, she'll be still up and waiting for me. Where it's just motherly nature; they get worried. So she's very sweet for that, and obviously I love her very much for that. But at the end of the day, she understands that I have a job to do. And my wife feels the same way about this, where she understood what I was doing, and she appreciated that and recognized the fact that, there are going to be some nights where I am going to be coming home late on account of all the work that I have to do. But my dad was always very supportive. He was always a strong proponent of policing. And to be honest with you, that was actually one of his goals. Unfortunately, because he came to this country, he immigrated to this country, he didn't necessarily have the educational base to enter into any type of profession that essentially entailed some type of university background or a post-secondary background. So policing was one of his dreams, and I guess you could say that he vicariously lives it through me now, right? So.
That's great. Being a police officer, it's like 4 days on, 3 days off, long shifts. It can be quite physically and emotionally taxing. How do you balance, because you mentioned your family, how do you keep work and family life separate?
you almost have to make this clear, concerted, conscious effort to separate the two. Because if you don't, you won't survive. Simple as that. So, I mean, for me, it's exactly that. Exactly how you described it. It's physically taxing. It's emotionally taxing. And I mean, over time, especially over 15 years, you're going to see so much that if you don't find adequate coping mechanisms to deal with it, it will take its toll. And so for me, it's just over time, I've just realized one thing is that work is work, home is home. So as soon as my uniform comes off, despite the fact that I'm a police officer 24/7, I have to switch off certain aspects of myself when I do go home, because the thing is, I can't always be in police mode. And however, I mean, it's just
Your wife would probably go nuts.
Probably. But the thing is, I mean, she also recognized the fact that I can't necessarily totally disassociate myself with respect to all the attributes that I've developed over the years being a police officer. And so, especially when I'm out in public, she'll notice that. I mean, I'm constantly looking around, or I'm strategically positioning myself so that I have full view or full access in terms of what's going on. And that's only because, obviously, over time, I've dealt with so many suspects, dealt with so many situations where my life or the life of other officers has been put in jeopardy as a result of some individual that was intending harm to us, where you have to always be switched on. You always have to understand what the other person's thinking, their behavior, their mannerisms, the way they're talking, their body gestures, their movements. And so let's just say, I mean, I've developed enough of insight into human behavior that I can read a person now and more or less have a better understanding in terms of what their intentions are. And so because of that, I'm very careful. I'm very cautious, even when I'm outside. But I noticed just completely the opposite from my wife, who has zero clue in terms of what's going on around her. But so because of that, it's just, yeah, obviously I'll retain a lot of the attributes and a lot of the mannerisms, which make me who I am and make me so effective on the job. However, once again, alluding back to my earlier point, you have to separate the two. You cannot combine the two.